Well, greetings students and welcome to the presentation on Brazil. In fact, we're going to do two presentations on Brazil. And I'm going to wager that this is a country you haven't studied much or learned much about. And that's a shame. I think one of the things that isolates Brazil, which makes it less accessible, is the fact that they speak Portuguese, which is not spoken in most other parts of Latin America. I think that's a big factor. But we're going to dive into Brazil in a big way. So here's our two essential questions. Why is Brazil important, and how have African influences shaped Brazil? Brazil's significance is growing exponentially. It's a wondrous land filled with beautiful people. It's a nation that embraces artistic expression, which flows from Brazilians in remarkably unique ways. It's an incredibly diverse country that fuses African, European, and Native American culture. And yet, it's a nation that has been dogged by political instability, corruption, authoritarianism, class warfare, and racism. Regardless of its issues, however, modern Brazil could be a model for an increasingly inclusive and diverse world. A mere glance at two important data points highlight Brazil's ascendancy on the world stage. Brazil's economy is the 9th largest in the world. Its economy is larger than Russia's, Spain's, Mexico's, Indonesia's, and the Philippines. Brazil is now the 5th largest nation in the world with a population that exceeds 200 million. Brazil is the 2nd largest Christian nation. Brazil's magnificent diversity is very much the product of a mass relocation of African slaves. Of the African slaves who survived the perilous journey to the Western Hemisphere, 38% or 5.5 million were destined for Brazil. A virtual human pipeline was created between two Portuguese colonies, Angola on the west coast of Africa, straight across the Atlantic Ocean to Brazil. This mass relocation of Africans to South America is reflected in Brazil's racial makeup. Evidence of this infusion of African slaves can be seen in modern Brazil's population, which is divided roughly in half between blacks and whites, with both groups heavily mixed with one another. This is a unique country where the diversity is almost evenly divided. The beauty of the Brazilian people extends to a culture that revels in unique artistic expression that's a product of these blended cultures. In Brazil, art often takes physical form. The heart of Brazilian artistic expression is music and dance, a direct product of Brazil's significant African heritage. The samba is recognized around the world as a symbol of Brazil. This unique Brazilian dance is considered one of the most popular Brazilian cultural expressions. Samba has become an icon of Brazilian identity. The samba dance is accompanied by music that combines sung chorus, rhythm instruments, and percussion. This samba genre later evolved into an even more popular Brazilian export called the bossa nova. This is a blending of samba music and jazz and burst upon the scene in the 1950s and 60s. This very original artistic culture even spawned its own style of martial arts called capoeira, which is heavily influenced by African dance. But finally, I'd like to take this artistic expression, this physical artistic expression, up to a more familiar level. Brazilian soccer is also a cultural artistic expression. It's referred to as Samba soccer, and they wear their distinctive gold, blue, and green uniforms. Traditional Brazilian soccer is a beautiful, fast-paced, attack-oriented game. Players show creativity in their movements and plays, which is said to be influenced by capoeira and samba dancing. Brazilian street culture also influenced the style, with children playing in the streets for many hours a day, practicing their individual moves on each other and improving their game. Players tend to hold on to possessions and attack using sudden dribbling moves. It's a highly independent game. The Brazilian men's soccer team, with their Samba soccer style, have captured 5 World Cup championships. This is the most of any nation. Germany has 4, and you could imagine a World Cup where the methodical, disciplined Germans played the highly erratic and energized Brazilians. This culture that celebrates physical expression barged onto the world scene by hosting the World Cup in 2014 and the Olympics in 2016. Even the slums of Rio, the infamous favelas, these are collages of hastily thrown together structures, often of plywood and scraps, reflect this artistic nature. The favelas of Rio sport many fascinating murals. This is an expressive, artistic culture.